All right, everybody, welcome to Beat the Banks. This is our weekly training from Beacon DeFi. We do this every Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern. It's absolutely free to our overall community. So, we're going to talk about a couple of things today. Let's start with the market. So, the word I'll use is fuzzy. It's fuzzy out right now, mainly because it is it's choppy, but it's hard to kind of interpret everything that's going on due to geopolitical stuff, through macro stuff. A lot of things going on at the same time that's causing just a lot of issues, right? All right, let me pull up a couple things. Like I said, this market is fuzzy right now, right? So it's hard for me to really just kind of interpret. But this is unfortunate. Um, just as a heads up, we probably won't have this training next Friday. I'll be in New York for permissionless and NFT NYC. So hit me up if you're going to be around. Happy to meet up and say hello to side event or whatever. But I'll be traveling home during the time when we would normally run Beat the Banks next week. So um, if you are one of our mastermind or one of our challenge members, I will be doing town hall, which is 2 hours before at 1 p.m. Eastern, but I won't be able to make Beat the Banks. I'll definitely going to have to make my way I'll be on my way to the airport and just making sure I get home safely to my family. So that's the main reason why. I may have a post in its place just to give you some of my thoughts on what happened during the week in permissionless. One of the biggest things happening next week, Andre Cronje, who is a big part of Phantom Sonic and Phantom Opera with regards to its lore and also one of their biggest founders, he will be presenting at permissionless. So we'll see specifically what happens. We'll see. I'm curious. We'll see what happens. With that said, S is tanking. But a good announcement from him could make this a really interesting scoop. So we'll start with our opportunities specifically about this one. Could this be a scoop? I don't know. I mean, we're more than 45% down in the 30-day. That's a big thing. A lot of that was the fumble. Well, do we have to call it a fumble? So here's the thing. When it comes to airdrops and farming, that's a huge thing in our community that we talk about. We've had a lot of members make a lot of money off of airdrops in our communities. It's been a really great way to just use capital to possibly earn. Would you call it free money? I mean, you're doing your time, right? Here's the thing. Protocols don't owe you shit, to be honest. Airdrops are glorified pre-sale marketing tactics, right? Points farming, all of this stuff. I mean, the reality is that yes, we want free money, but you're being farmed for it, and they're getting information off of you. You are the product, guys. Again, if the age-old question of where does the yield come from? If you don't know where the yield comes from, you should know where the yield comes from. It comes from you. So yeah, ecosystems, they don't owe you anything. That's just the long and the short of it. Yes, you can get remarkable returns on investment, remarkable risk adjusted return here in this space. But like anything in investing, there's no such thing as a free lunch. There's no risk free investment. Um, with that said, for them to change the terms of what they were doing, a week before this all came out is it's not a good look, man. It's not a good look. We'll go over the season one things here real quick. I have a tweet for it here somewhere. I might have gotten rid of it already. That happens. Okay. And again, I'm really just talking about this mainly because there are a lot of people in our community who probably don't, follow our calls or our content that may have some interest in farming Sonic, because we've talked about Phantom Sonic since long time last year. For a long time, we've been fairly bullish on Sonic because, I'm full transparency. I'm a long time Phantom Opera user. So, um, again, they haven't done the airdrop, but the original airdrop was supposed to be 190.5 million S token, right? If you're a former FTM holder, you could have one-to-one bridged your FTM for S a long time ago, which I did. Uh, and the original was supposed to be this was going to be the airdrop, and then you receive 25% up front, and then the other 75% of your airdrop based on your farming, based off of 6 months of Genesis farming in the first 6 months of the period, plus some other Phantom Opera activity. And then you'd receive 25% of that front. 75% of that token would then be available available immediately, but it's gamified. So there's a decay schedule all the way up to 270 days, meaning after the announcement, when they do it, after 270 days, you get the rest of the 75%. Otherwise, you could do 135 days to get 50%, and you're burning the rest to go back to supply. They changed their mind and decided not to do this anymore, right? They decided they're going to turn it into 2 seasons, could be possibly more, and they're only going to be doing a portion of that 190.5 million at the claim. They were also going to review season 1 to learn more about what they want to do moving forward, which could have been nothing. And again, guys, these ecosystems don't owe you anything. We know we want them to. We know we want them to know that we've been giving them our hard-earned money, leasing that liquidity to farm enough points to be able to get some airdrops, but they don't have to give you anything. It's in their best interest to, obviously, right? They're willing to go spend marketing budget, hiring out mansions and, going on huge merch runs and sponsoring gigantic conferences, at tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Why wouldn't they want to, divert some of that to people who actually use the fucking protocol, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with that spot that idea. And this is why we push so hard for education, because ecosystems, it's in your best interest to pay people like us to educate the public, because you're not going to do it. You don't have time. You know, the resources, KOLs and shills, they're only going to do so much. You need true people like us who are educators, who are out there trying to, get real information out there, real onboarding. We're the people you should be paying for that type of stuff. Anyway, I'm not crashing out. Just had a moment. Anyway, somewhere in the comments, someone mentioned it was three cents a point. I don't know if that's true. They might have deleted their comment. It might be anywhere between half a penny to 2 cents a point, especially the fact that Sonic has fallen so far. But As you can see, there's the daily unlock for 270 days. Obviously, your best bet if you want to get the whole thing, hold it. But for them to change it where it's like 42% of whatever this number is now and 25% that goes out is it's kind of ass, right? Let's be honest. But then again, they don't have to. I mean, they don't have to. They don't owe you anything. With that said, hopefully we get some new projects coming up, and shout out to all the great projects. 24 at Shadow, love Shadow Exchange. 24 is a great founder. Big fan of him. And all the other great projects that are out there. Silo, Beats, SwapX, very many others that are out there. Stability DAO, I could go keep naming. I'm not going to. In any case, there's a lot of great projects on Sonic. From a dev standpoint, I hear they support their dev community very well. So props to that. Keep building, keep shipping. But, do the right things to keep people in your ecosystem because everyone's leaving for somewhere else like Hyperliquid, Mega ETH, Say, Sui, Solana Base. You just got to keep them there. With that said, the other thing I wanted to talk about, let me grab the tweet for that. And just to give, again, this is something we talk about a lot. And I know a lot of people are very curious about this. Operational security is something we push very hard. So one thing to note about this, and I've seen a lot of other people tweet about this. If you don't follow officer_CIA, great. Data sets, billions of logins from social networks, VPNs, developer portals, large companies, they've been leaked. Now, it is up to you to be vigilant about your own password and seed phrase security. Okay? That is the point of self-custody. You are your own bank, your keys, your crypto, but you have to be vigilant about your operational security. What this means is you should not be using 8 characters for passwords. You shouldn't be using 10. At the minimum, you should be using 20 to 25. You should be using a password manager where you don't know any of the passwords that are available for your protocols. You just have to know one, which is your master password, which should be a very well-guarded secret that you should be able to memorize, has a lot of hard characters or is hard to look at. And that's just going to be for your password manager. A couple of the things that I want to mention as well as part of your operational security. We have a lot of these tips here in our free group. Let me segue to that real quick. School.com/beacon. Absolutely free to join, by the way, guys. Absolutely free to join our free group. Get all the information that we talk about here. Check out our Start Here post. You'll get access to our Introduction to DeFi course, which has a lot of this stuff with regards to safety and security and the keys that you need to stay, I wouldn't say a step ahead, but at least on par with the majority of people in this space who are thriving. I'm seeing people all the time getting drained, and it's because they have bad operational security. Let me talk about a couple of things you can do besides having a good password manager. First of all, do not use LastPass. We used to mention LastPass. We do not anymore after the bad exploit that they have. If you're looking for a free option, Bitwarden is great because it's open source. I personally use 1Password because I appreciate that I use mostly Mac products, Apple products rather, and I appreciate the dedication they have to privacy. And 1Password works well in an ecosystem. I do use Bitwarden. We use for transparency at Beacon, we use Bitwarden for all of our logins, and it works great. But I like how One password definitely works, especially in the realm of things like password, passkeys, and passwordless types of things. Makes it very simple, very seamless. Security should be something you have to think about all the time, but rather, one password makes it something I don't have to worry too much about. I just have to worry about that one password that nobody will ever know. So another website you can check out is Have I Been Pwned, which is haveibeenpwned.com. And the way that Have I Been Pwned works is it normally tracks through emails. So you can just put in any password, any email address, sorry, that you have out here, and then you can find out if you have been compromised. And the answer is most likely yes, especially if you're in the United States because of data breaches. I just saw Duolingo got scraped not that long ago. Most social media has been scraped. Um, that is the one thing that you need to be very particular about. Second thing I would do is two-factor authentication, not SMS, because SMS is easily hacked. In fact, Vitalik Buterin, co-founder of Ethereum, got SIM swap attacked, and due to that was able to get compromised because they were able to clone his SIM and then choose to reset passwords, and they sent an SMS code to the phone, which they compromised. So, the reason why we don't like using mobile devices for DeFi. I mean, obviously, there's only that's changed a little bit because there's so many things that have made mobile more, let's not say it's secure, but uh, stronger with security. There, you can have a really good hardware wallet that's an old phone. That's another thing you can do, at least from a seed phrase perspective, right? But that's definitely one thing that you should double check is just make sure that you haven't been in a very recent data breach. You can use any email that's in here, check it out, and then any passwords you think might have been a part of that based on the applications that have come up. Just go through and just if you have a password manager, make sure that you have the correct password for that. We have a lot of members who are not the most tech savvy. Unfortunately, these things are kind of just necessity. You're going to have to learn how to keep your passwords offline, whatever system that you want to have, and just make sure that it's in a way that can't be snooped on physically by people. Right? I know people that have specific Wi-Fi networks partitioned off just for their information. One big issue that's been happening too, and I want you to just keep this in mind if you are someone who uses video conferencing. It is not up to Zoom to make sure that you have good operational security. They should make it that way, but they're not going to because that's not what brings in money. Uh, People are getting compromised, and this has also happened to me almost on several occasions. People are reaching out to me. They know that I'm looking for partnerships with protocols, and they'll say, "Hey, let's get on a call." And then suddenly you get ready to go for a call, or like, "Chris, we'd love to, as a founder in this space, we know that you're making inroads. We'd love to interview you for X and Y show." Like, that's great. And then I go and do my due diligence on the people who are asking for the requests, and they're not legitimate people. They say they're with so and so, but they have a weird thing with their Twitter handle or their whatever social media handle, and it's just a little bit that I have the pause. Always have the pause. Be vigilant about your security. There's always going to be people looking to exploit, and it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting that there's humanity out there looking to, take people, to steal from people. The how dare you people do this? But they're out there. It makes me it's gross, it makes me sick, but they're out there. So, a couple things you can do. Something that I'm going to do today. uh, Two things. Easiest thing to do, remove the native application from your computer. So if you are a Zoom user or a Teams user, take that out of your computer immediately. Yes, it's supremely convenient, but depending on what you do, can be a really easy way to get hacked because oftentimes the person you're talking to, well, this is what's happened. They'll say, "Oh, I'm having an issue. Can you download this version?" And if someone has to ask you to do that, then you know that is the first red flag. They're like, "Nope, no, thank you. You are trying to scam me. This is not going to work." Now, if you're someone who never updates your software, that's another thing. But use the web-based version of all of these things, right? Always check your URLs. Make sure there isn't something that's going to be bad. Let me do another version here. See if we can find one. If you're doing a web search and you're like, "Oh, I want to go to Aave." All right. Not as bad as it used to be, right? Or not as bad as it used to be. There used to be sponsored links, and there still are, don't get me wrong. When you're looking for a new protocol, the sponsored stuff's going to come here at the top. Oftentimes, there's going to be a malicious link here. Don't click on it. Again, just use common sense security when you're doing this. Be vigilant about your operational security, and you'll be all right. If you're in decentralized finance and you're trying to find the official website for a fairly established protocol, the best thing to do is to go to DeFiLlama.com. Search for that protocol. Let's say, for example, I'm looking for not that one. Apparently, that's not released yet. Ostium, Perpnex on Arbitrum. Give that a second. I don't even know what to say about my internet using this program. Maybe it's the program. Because I don't have a VPN on. Fiber can't come fast enough to me. There we go. And then from here, click on website. Now, again, double and triple check, right? If it's a program you're really interested in, then double check this, right? It's always good to do that. As you find a website that is legitimate based on what you are finding, for example, for Ostium, bookmark it, right? Control D, depending on what browser you're in. If you're in Brave, which we recommend, just click on this little ribbon right outside right there to bookmark it, okay? Simple as that, you'll always have it. And then you can go back. If you're using like Rabby Desktop, for example, because Rabby is the hardware wallet we recommend, they actually have a desktop app that has two interesting things. One, you can bookmark those and always have those available. And two, they only allow you to connect with a hardware wallet, which I think is fantastic. You can't just use a regular cold wallet on here. Now, in the event that you're doing research and you're still just not wanting to have any exposure, create a new profile. As you can see, I have multiple profiles here, specifically in Brave browser. You can do it in Chrome as well, although we recommend Brave for DeFi. And this is something that you can just have a burner wallet, just a random Rabby wallet or whatever wallet you like to use for Ethereum Virtual Machine or Solana, whichever, and just connect with that for research. Never want to put your hard-earned funds at risk if you're just doing research, right? Now, other thing you can do if you are taking calls like that is to have an OS or an operating system profile that is separate from your regular one. And this will be almost like a guest profile. It won't have any access for you to install any programs. You can install Zoom on that one if you want, or just use the web browser, like I mentioned, of Google Meet, Zoom, Teams. Just put it in a profile that doesn't touch anything you would do in investing, in crypto, in anything, right? Have a separate, fully sandboxed profile just for that. I know that seems like that's overkill, but bad actors are looking for two things: people that are A, uneducated, and B, ill-prepared. You don't want to be either. So make sure that you are both, not just by following us, but by going and checking out our content. Because that's one thing that we really push, is because we love max gains, but we also like max protection of wealth. Because anything you earn in this space should be something that stays with you for as long as you want to. Really, forever would be great, right? But we're not not gonna live forever. Let's be honest. With that said, that's probably the other thing I would say, is just have either a separate profile or even a separate device just for investing, whether it be crypto, whether it be traditional TradFi type stuff. It's too easy to do something that can affect your entire system. And where's the really good example that I was looking for? One second. I had it bookmarked, so I just need to find it. Maybe I didn't. Anyway, someone was drained. Someone was drained because they downloaded a program for something that doesn't exist. Now, I know that people talk about this specifically with mobile apps, and that's probably the other thing that is difficult. Uh, Another reason why we don't love mixing mobile and desktop for DeFi, because when you're on DeFi, I mean, when you're on mobile, you also are in a situation where you can download something that can affect the rest of your computer. And what I mean by that is, this person had downloaded something regarding streaming. They're looking for, is this movie being streamed where? And it was just some type of small little app that kind of, tells them where they're looking for something. I think it was like even for like anime or something like that. But the problem was that it actually had malware that was a keylogger, and just had a payload on it that could steal credentials and send them other places. So sometimes it's hard to know, when something is watching you, or just finding malicious applications, even though they're on an app store where there's supposed to be hard vetting for that. Oftentimes, especially in today's day and age, it's just a script. There is some human vetting to some level, but in most cases they'll have AI or some sort of um, automated program to kind of get them to point A to point B. And these are things you have to watch out for, right? These are things you have to be careful of. So uh, this is another reason why, if you're going to be, in investing, using your digital device for it, consider using a separate device just for investing. And I know people are going to be like, "Oh, but that's expensive." You're like, yeah, it is. But when you're investing, that's really, frankly, the easiest part to put in. Like certain things that you can buy to help provide your safety, most people aren't willing to do, but they'll go and pay $5 for a coffee from Starbucks 5 days a week, right? When you could have taken 2 weeks of that and just gotten something to help with the operational security, keep you safe. One of them is a hardware wallet. The other is having a dedicated profiler device for crypto. Two easy things that you can and in some cases easy to upgrade, in some cases easy to use. Like if you have an older laptop that you've had forever that you can factory reset and just use for investing, that's something you could do. Um, I just saw earlier. Yeah, look at this, guys. This is a huge sale. A Mac Mini with the M4 chip in it, which has 16 gigs of unified memory, and this is that part, it can be expanded, the SSD storage. But to get this for 469, that's way better than a Chromebook. Way better than half the really shitty less than $300 laptops you're going to find. For $150 more, this is a huge sale. If you have, if actually this is cheaper than the educational discount. If you are a teacher, if you have a EDU address, you can actually come in on the education side and get this for $499, which, and this thing is small. This thing fits practically in my hand. That's how small it is. You could take it with you. It's practically a laptop. And then go and pair that with like a portable display, right? Like a 15.6-inch monitor. Let me see. These things are USB-C. They don't need extra power, and you can buy one, literally a 15-inch monitor for $69, and they're 1080p. Color on them isn't fantastic, but I mean, if you're just using it to make sure you have fairly safe experiences, I think that's probably worth it. And the best thing about this is that it's super powerful. You can use that with AI, not specifically Apple Intelligence, but for other AI powered stuff, because it does have 16 gigs of RAM, which is fantastic at this price point. So easy recommendation if you're looking for an easy way under $500 to help with your security and all that, because they're fairly privacy focused at Apple. Just as a heads up, which is why I prefer a lot of their products. I know some of them are overpriced and Apple tax and all that type of stuff, but they do have a dedication of privacy that I appreciate. Let's talk about opportunities. Now that we've gone quite a bit into security, just stay safe, guys. Use a hardware wallet. Make sure you're always vigilant about your network security. Have good passwords. Don't be sloppy. Simple. I mean, have compartmentalize everything that you have. That makes things a lot easier. What am I checking out, sir? Just check this one out, Chris. So market's kind of crap. I mean, and that's relative, right? Because we're doing a webinar tomorrow. Last time we did one, the last time we did one, Bitcoin was at 84K. So that's relative, right? This is a time where you can go and really look at possible coins that are worth the scoop, right? Hyperliquid at $34. DCAing in, right? You could have bought Hype at 10 not that long ago. You could have bought Hype at 2 not that long ago. Hyperliquid's not going anywhere, guys. So DCAing into Hype, I think is a really good buy. Looking into these altcoins, right? Because once we get into where we think Bitcoin is going to go into, right? So if we look at the 1 year, I know near term people are looking at a real head and shoulders kind of play, or what we call the cup and handle, or the George W. So we get the breakout up to 150 towards the end of the year, 200, whatever people want to go into. Certainly setting up for the end of the year to be explosive, because the Fed's not raising rates, right? They're not cutting rates either. It looks like if we're going to get a rate cut, it won't be till closer to the end of the year, due to Chairman Powell thinking that tariffs lead to stagflation. Simple as that. And it's coming. It's just a matter of when. So they will be willing to cut rates, but it won't be till later on. With that said, Chairman Powell's term ends around this time next year. A little bit, I think it's May 2026. So all of the factors, all of that putting together, could be an explosive time for DeFi in the next 6 to 12 months, 18 months, if you're going to go that far. So again, join us, school.com/beacon. Be early. Other coins that I think are interesting. All right, obviously not financial advice for any of this, right? The reason why Tron is interesting, and I talked about it during the TVL show, right? And I still don't understand how he's able to do this without it being totally crazy news, which it is. And I put this on Total Value Locked as well, right? This is not the official, but essentially, Justin Sun wants to get into the US market, having some issues doing so. Couldn't quite do it with the EU as well. He has a lot of USDT sitting on Tron on his blockchain. He also owns a couple of CEXs. So he found a company, SRM Entertainment, little tiny toy maker. All they do is they make toys. They make toys for like entertainment, like movies and stuff like that. They create swag, basically. There it is right there. Well, they've now been excuse me. They're going into a reverse merger with Tron to now become Tron Incorporated. And Eric Trump is going to be a prominent role in that company. The reverse merger is being backed by a Trump financed entity. And again, this is all because Justin Sun saw the writing on the wall, went and bought a gigantic amount of World Liberty Financial to be one of the largest, holders of WLFI that are out there. And then he became the largest Trump meme coin holder. So he has the ear of the president. He's able to get in, do his thing. And now he's going to be a U.S. company with rumors based on things that President Trump has said about U.S. companies being exempt from crypto taxes and gains and stuff like that. Guess what? Justin Sun is now a U.S. company because he went and found a small little company to reverse merger into. Good way to take care of the system, I suppose. Oh, I see. You were trying to show me a... Yeah, I mean, that's okay. RX 450. It's not bad. Oh, with a monitor, yeah. With Windows 10, 274.89. Yeah, no, I mean, if you really want to cut costs, that's one way to do it. But the M4 versus an i5, that's not even close, man. Not even close with regards to power and performance. So, granted, one's meant for productivity, one's meant for gaming, right? You could do very good video editing and photo editing on an M4, not on that gaming laptop. You could, but it would be great. So SRM now at $11. This thing was pennies not that long ago, right? So it's just like, man, I don't even know what to say about all this. I still don't. It's crazy, this timeline. But does that mean that TRX is an opportunity? Yes. Yeah. Let's just say it. After being worth practically nada for a long time, there's going to be ways that Tron's going to figure out a way to make it. So is it a scoop buy? Is it a buy that could go somewhere? Yeah, why not? Let's talk about XRP. XRP at 212. I mean, it was at 50 cents for a gazillion years, right? And then the talk of DeFi coming and just more services coming with the XRP ledger kind of pushed all this up, up above $2, right? We're still there. I mean, there was talks about them being like totally institutional king of DeFi. That probably won't happen, but RLUSD is there. They got a partnership, not a partnership, but just a bone thrown at them because native USDC from Circle is now going to be on XRP. They see the writing on the wall, realize it's in their best interest to try and provide as much stablecoin firepower on XRP because there could be some institutional inroads in there. Is this a buy at 212? Well, I mean, you're going to need there's an EVM sidechain coming that XRP is compatible with, and XRP is the gas token. So yes, you're going to need XRP to transact on there. Well, we have great protocols on there. That's what we're going to have to look for, right? That's going to be the key. Are we looking at $10 XRP on the table? I don't know about that, man. But then again, I didn't think we'd be at $40 Hyperliquid either. So yeah, it could absolutely happen. Now, for XRP to go to $10 would be 10 times this market cap, which would be absolutely insane. So I just don't see it happening. Well, 5 times, I guess. But it is what it is. So there's a lot of opportunities out there. So the market is looking like it's pulling back quite a bit. Does that mean that everyone's selling? No. There's a lot of people that are just moving money around and it's reflecting in here. Some people are taking profit, which is great, especially if you've been in like we have been, where we were here when Bitcoin was at 16K and lower. 2 years ago when we were in the crypto winter. So to take profit at 103, great idea. To take profit at 112, great idea. Are you taking all your profit? No, of course not. You're just DCing out. You're going to be rotating some of that into some cash for sidelining for what's coming up next. You're going to be getting altcoins for narratives that you strongly believe in. These are all things that are part of your system. Something that we also have a great system at with our Ascent framework at Beacon DeFi. And of course, back to that, you can find out more here at our free group, Total Value Lock TVL, school.com/beacon. Join the many who have come over and are getting that edge, getting that information, getting that education to find out where they can put their hard-earned money in to earn life-changing generational wealth. That's all I had for you guys today. Really just wanted to talk about being safe. A lot of people were a little worried about, hearing about what's going on with everything that's happening with this data breach. And yeah, this is a problem. If you don't have good password safety, and I love my wife, she has terrible password security, and I try my best to help her, get past that. These are things that you're just going to have to be good at, because the actors out there that want to steal your money, regardless of how much you have, they can plant things to continue stealing from you. It's sad. It's gross. It's disgusting. But unfortunately, that's how people have decided to make their living. So unfortunate for them. Karma is a thing, right? Hopefully. But you can be ahead of that process by being prepared and educated on the process. So make sure that if you don't already, follow us on all of our socials. Please do that. Love to see that. And just be safe. Just make sure you have good operational security. Compartmentalize, separate, isolate things so that anything that you do personally, keep that where it is. But if you're investing things, have a specific set of tools for that. That way you don't get any cross-contamination. Kind of like when you're using a cutting board, you don't use the same cutting board for meat that you would use for veggies and vice versa, right? Because cross-contamination. Same thing here. You don't want to be in that same situation. You want to make sure that you are keeping your investments in one spot and then your personal stuff in another spot, and they don't intermingle ever, because that's just what you should be doing. And one thing I didn't mention that you should be doing if you don't have that, because they're free, there's tons of privacy focused ones out there. Well, not tons, but have a separate email for your password manager. Have a separate email for things that you do in crypto and investing. Don't let that be the same the same email that you have on your personal stuff, so you just have one inbox you can get everything to, that's just not a good play, honestly. Have it separate. That way you can keep everything from commingling. Because there are algorithms that get trained on you. You just want to make sure you have separate things for everything. That way there's um, none of that happening. So again, any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Always happy to answer questions for you. And thanks for joining us this week again for another great community training on Beat the Banks. And we'll see you next week. We'll hopefully try, like I said, I won't be able to do this show, but our other show that's public facing, which is our weekly podcast called Total Value Locked, every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern, where we have some of the best in the industry coming on to talk about great projects and also just help you interpret and disseminate the news that's out there to make it so it's easy for you to understand. If you have any friends that are curious about doing more with their crypto, please refer them to us. It's absolutely free to do so, and we'll appreciate that. That said, take care. 07, as we always say here, beacons up, banks down. Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend.